So our final speaker today is Dr. Lisa McCrea. Lisa grew up in New Brunswick, Canada, and developed a love for dairy cattle out of high school. After graduating from vet school, Lisa spent 10 years practicing in large animal clinics, where she specialized in dairy herd health and reproduction. In 2007, Lisa and her husband Phil moved west to join the Agwest team, where she became a partner the following year. Lisa, it is great to have you here with us. Take it away.
Thank you, Teresa. First of all, I'd really like to thank Teresa and the rest of your group for inviting me to be a part of this virtual meeting this afternoon. I've been finding it very interesting to listen to the other speakers and the panelists this afternoon. And I think you'll find it as my talk goes on that there is, it's surprising how much similarities and some of the comments that have come up in discussions with the panelists that will show up as well in my talk. So just to expand a little bit what Teresa said, just on who I am and my background. I'm a dairy practitioner for 22 years in Canada, and the last 13 years I've been practicing in the Fraser Valley in British Columbia. Senior partner in a 7-person veterinary practice that does all large animal, dairy, and equine medicine. And my particular focus over the years has developed into advanced reproduction and herd management. My interest in reproduction began basically because that's literally what makes your industry possible. If a cow doesn't have a calf, she can't produce milk, and so it's that simple. I think that's one of the key bases of starting profitability on a farm. The other side, the herd management side of my interest, basically, I enjoy working with anything that affects at least 25% of your herd. I think providing solutions within those key areas of your farm help go a long way to maximizing your profitability. So my talk on the 5 habits of highly effective dairy farmers came about based on Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This book is 25 years old, and I'm surprised at how relevant the principles still are today. Every time I get a chance to read the book or read parts of the book, I start taking away different aspects from it. And the last time, a couple years ago, I started thinking about how this applies to my clients, the dairy farmers, and looking at the common habits that the most successful progressive dairymen have that I work with. You'll notice as I go along that some of the habits are taken pretty much, if you're familiar with the book, that they're taken pretty much straight from the book. Because I think that they're the basic principles that individuals that are highly effective possess. Other times I tend to stray a little bit, still using the principles of the book, but trying to make it more relevant for dairy farming. So the first habit that I want to talk about is being proactive. Being proactive tends to be the core value and a state of mind for all successful and progressive dairymen. You probably all are familiar with the Serenity Prayer, granting us the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I think that's the basis behind the mindset of a proactive person. It means having the ability to take responsibility for your life and your actions, and rather than just having things happen to you. You know, you can't always predict the future. Things sometimes happen beyond your control. But if you're aware of the potential changes, you're able to adapt to them more quickly. So proactive farmers are driven by their values rather than having things in the outside external environment to affect them the same. They're still influenced by the outside environment, However, they're self-aware enough to recognize that they can choose how they respond to the situations that they find themselves in. They have the ability to choose how they respond to that. They rapidly anticipate and identify problems as they arise, and in some cases, before they arise, and make the appropriate adjustments to minimize the negative effects on their business. You may not be able to control the weather conditions when you're putting up your summer feed that's going to last throughout the winter, but if you anticipate that you may be going to have a difficult winter based on the feed that's available to you, you're able to make the necessary adjustments rather than waiting until your cows are coming down with milk fever, you're losing milk production, and having to react after the fact. So in Stephen Covey's book, he talks about two circles and one circle within the other, and that's how he describes the proactive person versus a reactive person. These two circles differentiate how you look at the world. So a circle of concern is the outer circle, and it's anything and everything that you worry about, what keeps you up at night. Eric earlier mentioned a lot of those things that tend to be out of our control. The weather that I mentioned about. In Canada, it's the supply management. I think in the United States, it's a little bit different, but the volatile marketplace. We're going through a pandemic right now. Who would have anticipated that that's what 2020 would have brought to us? Our health sometimes is out of our control. So this is your circle of concern. And within that circle of concern, you have a circle of influence. And so that's the concerns that you have some or complete control over. And Covey would tell you that what separates a reactive person from a proactive person is which circle that they spend the most time and attention and energy on. So reactive people tend to concentrate. You'll hear them say, things. They're complaining about the weather. They will talk about the troubles that they're having, and concentrate on the things that they really have little or no control over. Whereas proactive people tend to concentrate on the circle of influence. And so, you may not be able to, with a volatile marketplace that sometimes the dairy industry can be in your world, you might not be able to control that, but you can belong to a co-op group like you do. You can do sensitivity analysis and try to mitigate some of the risks that come along with the volatility of your business. And I know from my personal and professional life that the more that I concentrate on that circle of influence, you'll see that circle of influences grows bigger and bigger, and the circle of concern gets less. So proactive dairy farmers, there are movers and shakers of the industry, and I think probably this group today, by the sounds of these conversations and the panelists' discussions, that's part of this group. You enjoy taking initiative, you rapidly identify problems, and you like to balance innovation and technology. You're not impulsive, though. You tend to look at the big picture and try to make the best decision based on that. Being proactive, it does take time. You have to consider your options and weigh your alternatives and make your own decisions in order to achieve your goals. So within the dairy industry, I think that the industry that we're in is quite proactive in itself. I have up in the right-hand corner, the little blue cow in Canada. We like to promote 100% Canadian milk, trying to influence our markets within our country. You also have the same sort of influence and program in the States, trying to influence what you can control as far as the market and your industry, and trying to make it sustainable. I also put down in the bottom right-hand corner the Starbucks. That came from a Creekside Dairy. I don't know if any of you follow her on Instagram and social media. But as we all know, that earlier this year, Starbucks started talking about using alternatives to dairy based on the fact that they were trying to be more sustainable. And Creekside Dairy, a couple of other farms in BC, as well as some dairies in Washington State, had Starbucks executives come onto their farm and show them just how sustainable the dairy industry is to promote your product. And I think that says a lot for how proactive that the industry is. Instead of sitting back and complaining about Starbucks, you as a dairy industry went about trying to influence and make changes. Myself, as a dairy veterinarian, we've been changing over the years, trying to adapt to your needs. In the past, when I started 22 years ago, a lot of my time was spent working with treating sick animals and simply palpating cows day in and day out. And as the industry has changed in your demands and need that you need from us, we've started to advance more into a more advisory and quarterback role within our clients. A lot more of my time is spent benchmarking and analyzing your herd data and monitoring and helping you make decisions on your farm. So proactive dairy farmers apply this habit to all areas of their operation, from their fresh cow monitoring program, how they manage their feed bunk, etc. And because this habit tends to springboard the rest of the habits, I'm going to spend a little bit of time going through this area as well. So within the calf program, progressive farmers, when they want to increase their milk production, they don't just go out and buy more cows. They start with the calves. They implement a good calf management practice, and it's been repeated to show in the marketplace and in research that by paying attention to the calves and growing good calves, that you will increase your milk yield and herd life within the future. Proactive dairy farmers have genetic goals and a reproductive plan that will work to achieve their goals. They pay attention to their forage and bunk management. They don't suffer from empty bunk syndrome. They will feed for refusals. They pay attention to the bunk and the inventory that they're going to have so that they don't run out of inventory in the middle of the summer. And they have progressive transition management, where they're maximizing cow comfort and bunk management and minimizing stress in order to allow their cows to freshen and get off to a good start. The second habit that I'm going to talk to you about, this breaks away from the Covey book a little bit, but knowing the purpose of your business sets the tone for the other habits that I'm going to talk about. Successful dairy farms have not only taken the time to think about what they do, but why they do it. Simon Sinek is a motivational speaker. I'm not sure if everybody has heard of him before, but if you haven't, you may want to take time to look him up on YouTube. He has a TED Talk that he did on the golden circle of why, finding your why within your business. It's based around what successful businesses do, recognize why they do it and not just what they do. So having a purpose for why why they get up every morning. Dairy farming is hard, 24/7, 365-day job, and so you need to have something, you need to know why you're doing it when you're having to get up in the morning, when you're having to go out to check that cow in the evening, when the rest of your family is having dinner or watching TV. So everybody's purpose might be different. So some of the smaller purebred farms might enjoy breeding that deep pedigreed cow, whereas some of our commercial dairies may be more concerned and have more, their purpose might be building a sustainable future. And our panelists talked about some of the things that they consider their motivations and what they consider successful. So once you know your why, then you can build your mission statement and the vision for your business. A mission statement tells someone that is not familiar with a farm who you are and what you do. Whereas a vision statement looks at the big picture and what you want to achieve. And when you're thinking about your vision, you should be very explicit and think of all areas of what you want to do. A sustainable future farm may include the building type of efficiencies that a farm can generate, whereas somebody that is more concerned about the purebred side of things might be thinking about breeding that cow that might show up at the World Dairy Expo. Once you have your mission and your vision, then it's time to define your core values of your farm. Helping you define your core values will help your employees run your business and meet your vision and mission. They allow everybody on the farm to work together better and move in the same direction in order to towards that common goal. Some core values that progressive farms may have would be proactive, innovative, cow-focused, passionate, respectful. So that farm's values like that will guide the decision, all your decisions and how that you make, and keep everybody on the same page. The third habit that I want to talk about is beginning with the end in mind. All things were created twice, first in theory and then in reality. So you have to, it's all about goal setting. These progressive dairy farms take the time to make sure that everybody's on the same page, everybody knows what you want to achieve, has a clear understanding of the vision, and ensures that everybody feels a part of the team. It's the thought process behind that is planning for the future, looking at what your farm is going to look like in 5 or 10 or 15 years, and developing a succession plan for your farm. When you have a clear end in mind and goal setting, as time moves on and opportunities arise, whether it's wanting to build a new barn or buy more cows or the new tractor, you're able to ask that question, does that, whatever that opportunity is, will that help me reach my goal? And if the answer is yes, then you may go ahead and do it. If the answer is no, then it's time to step back and decide whether or not you really want to go through with whatever that opportunity is. At the interest of time, I'm going to skip through that slide. Habit number 4 is prioritizing and managing. This is where I kind of step outside of the Covey book. I've combined a couple of the habits together to put it into more of a farmer's language. This habit is based around that once you have an end goal, that you need to manage the day-to-day tasks in order to achieve that goal. Progressive farmers are excellent at prioritizing and managing their businesses. They possess this habit in spades and do it very well. Truly effective dairy farms are able to transfer both their passion and attention to detail to the employees through the coaching and mentoring. Studies have showed that most of the sustained success comes from doing the 20 things 5% better rather than one thing 100% better. I have here that building a successful team. In the Covey book, this habit is interpreted as interdependent and cooperative, collaborative type nature. Progressive Dairyman had asked me to do a follow-up question to my article that they had published on the 5 habits, and was asking about what the one key thing was that all successful dairy farmers possess. And I think that this is pretty much the key, although everybody is proactive, and that is their core value. I think it's the truly successful dairy farmers take that to the next level and fully embrace building a group of advisors and teams members that different panelists and speakers have talked about this afternoon, whether it's your veterinarian, your nutritionists, financial advisors, key people that can really help them move forward in their business. These farmers will recognize their weakness, and they will build the key people around their farm that will help them in the areas that they're the weakest, whether it might be breeding cows, feeding calves, whatever that is, to help them achieve their goals. They also manage risk by evaluating but what if scenarios and have contingency plans and processes in place. You know, what if the interest rate goes up? What if the milk price drops? In Canada, our farmers will play this what if supply management disappears. When you're able to ask the tough and uncomfortable questions, these progressive farms can identify the weaknesses in their business and set up a contingency plan to help just in case that happens. Habit number 5 is benchmarking and analyzing performance. The most successful farmers recognize that this habit is key to reaching the goals that they have set for the farm. You cannot manage what you do not measure. It's not enough to know how you do with the average farmer. If you really want to be successful in the top of your game, then you have to stack yourself up against the top 25%. I might even say that you should be looking towards the top 10% of your herds. In today's society, your data-driven type dairy producers, I think with technology and all the innovation that we have, you have tons of data at your fingertips. And dairy farmers, truly successful dairy farmers today, embrace that data, and they see it as an asset. And they use the data in order to manage with KPIs, key performance indicators. They use dashboards to see where they are from day to day. They don't wait until the end of the year and see whether or not they have enough cash in the bank. They have financial advisors that help to project where they're going to be and budget for what the goals that they want to achieve. Progressive farms set performance goals and review them often. They take all the technological advancements and use their tools to monitor their farm and make the necessary adjustments along the way in order to benchmark the performance. Analyzing the different areas of the farm against its performance goals can highlight things that maybe the farm should stop doing in order to become more profitable. If your farm is always understaffed and puts up poor crops every year, perhaps it's better off on just milking cows and having somebody come in and do custom operating for doing the crops. The last habit that I'm going to talk about is a bonus habit that is the habit number 7, in Stephen Covey's book. And I think Eric did a very good job of talking about the issues with mental health in the dairy industry, and had some good thoughts on that. In Stephen Covey's book, he talks about the importance of sharpening your saw, taking the time to really rejuvenate yourself in order to achieve your goals. In Covey's book, this habit surrounds all the other habits because it's the habits that make all the other things possible. You know, dairy farming can be lonely. There are days on ends when things don't go your way. The barn scraper breaks. You come out to the barn in the morning and there's a down cow. You just cut your grass and it starts to rain. There's a lot of things that are going through your mind and you have to deal with on a day-to-day. And taking the time to take a break and recharge your battery and remember the important things in life help you be able to deal with all those other issues better. So just to recap, the review of the 5 habits. Number 1 is concentrating on your circle of concern in order to a circle of influence in order to be proactive. Number 2 is finding your why. Number 3 is having a goal. And 4 is once you have that goal, prioritizing managing your farm in order to achieve that goal. And number 5, setting up some key performance indicators to know how you're doing and if you're going in the right direction. That's my talk.
Thank you, Lisa. This was certainly very informative. Once again, if you have a question, please enter it in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen and we can ask it live here. While we're waiting, I guess one question I might have is, one of the things that dairy farmers struggle to deal with often is time management and prioritizing what they do with their time. And you noted that one of the best habits is to move forward and be proactive looking, but a lot of times, most of the time, the dairy farmers working on the farm, they're looking at reactionary issues, reacting to milk prices or a down cow, whatever it may be. What would you advise for farmers that say they don't have the time to sit down and evaluate their goals or whatever it may be in terms of time management?
I think that goes along with finding the team and having surrounding yourself with the people that can help you manage your time and manage the key priorities on your farm. A lot of times it doesn't matter whether your dairy is 100 cows or 1,000 cows. You can't be everything to everybody and everywhere on the farm. And so I think it's important for you to have those people that can help you delegate to those people that can help you achieve the goals. I also think it's important that you need to take that time and have it scheduled, whether it's on a monthly basis or a quarterly basis, to take the time to sit down with those key advisors and see where you are along the lines, just so that you know like where you're getting, whether you're achieving your goals, and setting up the priorities. I often talk about there should, at any given time, there should be a top 3 priorities that you should be looking at on your farm. I think anything more than that and you lose sight of what you're trying to achieve. So concentrating and on the 3 priorities at the time will help you manage your time a little bit more effectively.
Great advice. Thank you.